Well, today we're going to talk about open BIM workflows, especially when we compare them to closed BIM workflows. As you say, I'm from BIMcollab. BIMcollab offers issue management and model validation software, but BIMcollab is a brand owned by Kubus. And Kubus is a software company, has since then been promoting openBIM, and openBIM is, in the core of our principles. So as we grow and improve our products, openBIM is always a topic that we're focused on. So we thought that would be a good topic to, talk about today as well.
Hey friends, welcome back to BIMvoice. Today I have the pleasure to talk to Bojana Dukanovic from BIMcollab. Hi Bojana, how are you doing?
Hi Petru, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here today and I'm excited for our conversation.
I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Now, before you present yourself, tell me briefly, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about open BIM workflows, especially when we compare them to closed BIM workflows. As you say, I'm from BIMcollab. BIMcollab offers issue management and model validation software, but BIMcollab is a brand owned by Kubus. And Kubus is a software company, has since then been promoting openBIM, and openBIM is, in the core of our principles. So as we grow and improve our products, openBIM is always a topic that we're focused on. So we thought that would be a good topic to, talk about today as well.
Well, it's the main topic of this podcast, so I can't wait for this. Now, tell us a few words about yourself, and then let's go and talk about openBIM.
So I am Bojana. I am a BIM consultant in our customer success team here at BIMcollab. I come from an architectural background, so I have been a licensed architect in the United States for 10 years, mainly working on commercial projects. But I have been with BIMcollab for 2.5 years now. So like I said, now in the Netherlands, which is where I'm calling you from. And as a BIM consultant, I work with our clients that, they come from all sorts of industries from all over the world. And I talk to them about, reviewing their workflows and seeing how BIMcollab can help them best in optimizing their coordination and achieving their goals for their projects.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. And you said something very interesting here, which I cannot just go over it and let you just present. So I would like to know, after working for so long in the US and now being in Netherlands, how do you feel that is BIM embraced in the US compared to Europe?
I think that, as some think that BIM is just the software in a way. So I think that in the US, BIM is still the software, while in Europe, BIM is a process.
So you would say that in Europe, it's a bit more mature, the market and the stakeholders.
Of course, we are generalizing things, right? As we know, even in Europe, right? So of course, different projects and so on. But yes, in a general statement for me, I would say that Europe is more advanced, like I said, especially in the terms applying BIM processes rather than just BIM tools, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, please go ahead and let's see.
Yeah, let me start sharing my screen with you. Okay, so probably most of our listeners today are from the architectural, construction, and engineering industry. And I think it's been clear to most of us for a long time now that the projects are becoming more and more complex. And clients are not only looking for complex structures, but they're also looking for project teams that are utilizing the latest technologies, that those technologies can help them deliver projects with increased efficiency and minimize costs. But besides being increasingly complex, projects today are also getting increasingly fragmented. And that's because, as most of us recognize from the field, from working on the project, to achieve these complex projects, multiple teams need to get together, connect, and collaborate on these projects, right? And when we talk about these different disciplines on a project, it also means that they are all using probably different tools, different software, different file types, and so on. So there's always a challenge that teams face, which is, how do we coordinate across these different BIM, preferences towards a common goal of delivering a project, right? While ensuring smooth coordination across the phases. So when we are talking about using different workflows with BIM, let's see how this workflow looks in a closed BIM workflow, right? So closed BIM workflow, in this workflow, each discipline creates their own native model in their own software. So in an ideal closed BIM workflow, this software is the same software. So let's say, for example, Revit or Archicad. So then the closed BIM environment really requires from the project stakeholders that they are using the same platform through the entire project, right? So this is a crucial step. They have to keep being in this same language speaking platform. So because the models are created in the same software, then what that means is that they can easily exchange the models, and it's fairly straightforward. Same provider ensures that interoperability. And because they have no compatibility issues, we are then easily able to combine models together into a federated model, right? And probably most know, but a federated model is one combined model that's compiled from several BIM models from different disciplines into one single complete model of the building or structure. So when we have that, now let's take a look at how the process, looks when we go through the whole process. So like we said, we have different disciplines creating their models in the same tools. These models then are again combined into a federated model. And usually when this federated model is created, then this model is checked. And we can do these checks in various types of checks. We can do visual model inspection, clash detection, data checking, design checks, code requirements, so on, so on. So when we check the model, we will inevitably find certain problems that we will need to report, and those problems need to be revised, right? Now, if we imagine that in this closed workflow, let's say that we are still manually coordinating, there is always this question of what do we do when we find the problems, right? How do we efficiently report them back to the modelers and the ones who need to fix it? Like I said, in this manual workflow, this usually is through creating screenshots, through creating Excel reports, spreadsheets, maybe even BCF reports offline. But there's always this process that is kind of living, this coordination process is living separately from the model life, right? Because the moment that we share it, the model keeps evolving. So, our findings are outdated because, again, they're living their own life in a way. But this is how it is when we don't use the BCF workflows. So we report them back to the modelers. The modelers resolve their problems. They approve. We can approve them, close them, so on. And, this process usually repeats. But this manual process of checking, of reporting issues heavily depends on us manually updating the latest revisions in the spreadsheet. And, you have to follow up each issue and so on. So it becomes very time consuming, and it also carries risks of crucial information being missed, maybe double work, rework happening, and, things falling through the cracks and so on. When it comes to the closed BIM workflow, the process is working well as long as we are using the same tools and the tools are from the same provider. So, for example, Autodesk or Graphisoft.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Maybe let me just put this out. Like, I did not find yet a good way to take files from Inventor to AutoCAD or Revit. It's a real struggle to do that. And it's the same software vendor. I will leave it at that. If you have any suggestions, everyone watching this, please leave me a comment, and I would appreciate it.
Is Inventor not good with IFC?
No. It's for mechanical stuff or other kind of products. And
No, I'm not that familiar with Inventor, unfortunately, as an architect. But these problems of communicating, it's almost like that's what I like this metaphor. Like we're in the same field, of course, but it's like we're speaking different languages, right? The Inventor to AutoCAD and so on. So exactly. If we are using the same tools, then we still might. Same tools, same file formats. We still might be having problems communicating. And so generally, you should be having no problems if you're staying under the same provider, as that provider should ensure easy connectivity, right? But, Revit to Revit, ArchiCAD to ArchiCAD, and so on, that's working. But as we know from the field, more often than not, teams are not working in the same software, right? They're actually working in different BIM tools. So for example, here on the right, maybe let's say the architect is working in ArchiCAD, while maybe the structural engineer is working in Revit, and so on. So, sometimes the teams are using the same tools even, but maybe not the same version of the tool. So then we are experiencing issues with version compatibility and stuff like that, right? So that's also a problem sometimes to consider. And there are, of course, like many reasons, right, why we in the industry use different tools, like, certain tools are preferred within disciplines, or certain teams have been using some software for a long time. Maybe switching to this one software, one provider umbrella is a hefty investment, both in learning curve and money. So this is where the big challenge of closed BIM is, right? That everybody must work in the same tools. And as most BIM solutions are isolated applications, again, we experience these large interoperability issues, as data can only be exchanged to a limited extent or not at all. So from what we see, we clearly need a different approach that allows for flexibility when it comes with working with different BIM tools. An approach that allows for open connection and easier exchange of information, that uses open file formats that are not dependent on the authoring tools used, that translates these workflows into one singular language. So this is where the importance of openBIM workflow comes in. So let's talk about what is openBIM, right? As we see here on the screen in a quick definition by Building Smart, openBIM is the concepts of openBIM are really based on interoperability, open and neutral standards, open data exchanges, collaboration workflows, and so on. But so these terms are key to what I see as a digital transformation that is happening in some places around the globe, slower or faster, but it's definitely needed to keep up with the demands in our construction industry, right? Also, openBIM is based on vendor neutral formats such as IFC, BCF, COBie, and so on. Specifically, I would say IFC and BCF are formats that are that sound very familiar to our industry. IFC is a widely adopted format for exchanging models, and also BCF as a format to use to communicate the model-based issues within the models, right, across the teams. And as we are talking about file formats, we can briefly mention a new standard that's currently in development, also by Building Smart, called IDS. Have you heard of IDS?
I've been participating yesterday to the webinar by Menomix or Mekes.
Yes, Menomix, yes.
Yeah, I am already digging quite deep into IDS, and I will have a lot of content in the future about IDS, yes, in the near future.
Great. Yeah, right. Well, maybe for our users who are maybe not familiar, just a brief introduction to IDS. So IDS, or Information Delivery Specification, like I said, is a new standard in development. It's currently in development by Building Smart, and it's all about delivering BIM requirements, right? So traditionally, these BIM requirements are shared in spreadsheets, PDFs, definitely not computer readable formats. And with IDS is now bringing a format that will be, able to be read by a software, which means that these requirements are now able to be applied to the model. So you can deliver your requirements. They can be, so of course, BIMcollab recognizes the value of IDS. So we are also participating, and IDS will be able to be read through BIMcollab. So you can share the requirements in the BIMcollab cloud. You can view them and apply them through BCF managers. And then finally, you can check that the right requirements have been delivered in BIMcollab soon. So IDS is a new thing coming, but something that I think will be of great help to the process. What do you think?
I have no doubt, it's going to speed up a lot the checking process, and this is going to be golden for all the involved parts for checking metadata. I'm very thrilled about this. I think I can't wait for it. But how far have you come with implementing this in BIMcollab? Is this available for the demo accounts as well, or it's only in the paid? Do you know anything about this?
Well, the IDS itself is not ready, right? It's still in development. So is our tool as well. So I think we have a beta version and we have presented it in the Building Smart Summit in Rome. And you see Menomekos, also presenting. So it's it's developing together with IDS. At this point, we have nothing for the public, but yeah, stay tuned. I think very soon we'll have a version that can be available for the public. Yeah, I think, also, I think IDS, as any other format that's new or anything that's new to the industry is not perfect, right? Because it's also something new. So it will probably develop with the industry, and so with BIMcollab application of IDS as well. But I definitely think exciting new things.
Yeah, I think, not perfect from the beginning does not mean not useful, right? It might not be like 100% compliant or performing, right? But at the same time, you still can save a lot of time. You still can have a much better structure on your project and everything. I'm quite sure that this will save a lot of things. And like you take out human readable error, right? And it will develop, but I don't know, maybe it's the same vibe that it was when the BCF came about. I'm not really sure. I found out quite late about BCF, but I have this feeling that is going to change a lot of things. It is going to speed up a lot of things.
So much, because like when you imagine just the amount of data, right, that has to be, like the amount of requirements that have to be delivered and then applied and so on. Yeah, I think it's going to speed it up so much. But also check out BIMcollab, not like to my own horn, but like not only will you'll be able to import the requirements and see them in your models, but also check them with BIMcollab Zoom in automated ways. Because it's one thing to deliver the data, to just have to deliver the data in the model, but also like to make sure that we're delivering the right data. So that's where Zoom will really help. So yeah, I think as a package it would be really great.
Yeah. Amazing news. Can't wait. Like the more tools implement this, the better it's going to be for everyone. And I think who is not doing this from the beginning will do it eventually, because they will definitely see the value and they will fall behind because people will just flock towards tools that are using this because it's a no-brainer.
So I think it's it's always like I think we're used to doing like one thing. Like, for example, we're used to doing traditional ways, right? For example, in BCF, we're used to manually coordinating, right? We're still doing these spreadsheets, we're sending emails, and it's such a drag, right? And we know it, we recognize this. But I think because, and the same thing with IDS, right? Delivering the requirements, huge task. But because we experience how inefficient it is, we're used to this process being challenging in a way, right? And so when we think about, we can improve this, our brains, I think, go to a place like, oh no, but this is yet another process, right? Or yet another tool to add. It's like, it's our preconceived feeling because the traditional process is so inefficient. But so I think there's like a little bit of hesitation sometimes to accepting these new workflows. But I think once when you have, for example, a demo, or you see some sort of short summary of how much more efficient, then I think we really see how quickly people jump boats. So yeah, hopefully same with IDS.
This is exactly how I also see things. We as humans are very conservative. We are very not prone to change. We don't really like change, most of us. But at the same time, like what I'm trying to do now with IDS is to show you. I will just show you and prove to you that is working. I will not just talk out and so on. You will see it. And when people will see it, they will understand the same way that, okay, this does not make sense to not use it. Like it's very like you are just burning money if you're not using it. So simple.
I really like I should use it as a tagline also for BCF and for IDS. It makes sense for you not to use it. But no, you're very true. Like exactly that. It makes when you see it, it makes no sense why you wouldn't make your process better. But so that was a bit about IDS. Now maybe back to our question of openBIM. So we talked a little bit about the closed BIM, but so what is openBIM workflow? How can it look, right? Let's take a look. So if you remember this diagram, we just went through the same diagram for the closed BIM workflow. And we said for the coordination to happen, everybody needs to be working in the same software or from the same software provider. With openBIM, It doesn't matter which authoring tools you are using. You have the freedom to choose your preferred tool and provider. So, Model A, Model B, Model C, they can all be from different softwares because they can be exported to IFC, which can also be imported by most leading BIM tools. And then, just as in the closed workflow, once when we export into IFC, we have an easy way to just share them, create a federated model. And after checking the model, we will then again have, like I said before, like any way of checking clash detection and so on. But one way or the other, we will find some issues that we will want to report back to our modelers. So in this workflow, when we talk about not doing manual coordination, but using BCF file exchange, we have a much more efficient way, like I said, to exchange these problems between the BIM coordinators, for example, the model checkers and the model authoring teams. So a BCF, each BCF represents one issue. And that issue can then, like I said, easily be shared between most tools, between different softwares through add-ons, which are called BCF managers. So with BCF, you are able to raise an issue directly in the model in your preferred BIM tool. And as you see here on the screen, the same viewpoint is then shared to all these other numerous softwares. So the combinations are endless, right? From Archicad to Revit, Navisworks to Revit, Revit to Solibri, and so on. So, spanning software, spanning providers, and so on. And so you can see how this process, as we were just saying, saves, hours of work compared to the manual process where you have to do this through emails and spreadsheets, and you have to manually update them and so on. While here, the issues are easily updated together with the model. I do just want to take a step back and of course say that I'm just using this as an example. So example of using the BCF coordination in the openBIM workflow. You can, of course, use the same BCF coordination even in the closed BIM workflow. So, even if you are using in the same tool, you can, of course, create BCF files and then exchange them between the same tool. So this is just an example that I've used in this. But so openBIM applies as well to the closed BIM workflow, be it Revit, be it Archicad, Tekla, and so on. You can always exchange in the closed workflow as well. So this diagram, again, reminds us that, in the openBIM workflow, you can be using any tool, creating your models, exporting them to IFC to exchange easily models between each other and create a federated model. And then when you find coordination that you want to share, then through BCF, you are again easily sharing across all these different tools. So if we now take a quick look at the summary of maybe the openBIM workflow, again, the different models from different disciplines are created in these various tools. From these tools, they are then through IFC created in a federated model. Then they are checked, usually in tools like Zoom, Navisworks, or Solibri. And through BCF managers, you have an easy way, again, to assign them back to the modelers and the modeling tools like Revit, Archicad, and so on. These are then resolved, approved, closed, and so on. And this process keeps repeating. So you see here, we are not talking about any sort of email, any sort of screenshot, nothing like that. You have a one communication channel that you're using throughout your project where all of your communication is focused, all the issues, all the history, everything is documented in this one communication channel. So, you have a single source of truth throughout the project. So, just like a quick recap of openBIM, it's clear that there are many, many benefits of openBIM, both for internal teams or large teams, small teams, and so on. But, your team can participate, all of your team can participate in the project coordination independently of the software they're using. That gives you a freedom to choose a tool that works for you, without worrying that will you be able to participate on the project coordination. Also, all of your project commentary is always centralized through BIMcollab. Like I said, in one data, you have ways through BCF to easily exchange your issues. You are working more efficiently. Your issues are always up to date. You can see the latest changes, and so on and so on. So BIMcollab this is how BIMcollab participates in the openBIM workflow, and this is how BIMcollab can help you get to this, easier way of working. So maybe I can do a quick demonstration here just to kind of run you through some of our ecosystem. So the first thing is here in the web browser. This is our BIMcollab cloud. This is where you host your users and host your projects. So once when you have, through this example project, so once when you start a project, what you're able to do in the project settings, of course, is first of all, create your project team. So able to invite your team members to participate in BIMcollab. And this way you're ensuring that you have your selected group and you can manage their access and so on. And once then you set up these values, you kind of have the basics of your project going and you can start adding your issues, right? So the issues, even though they're added from different BIM tools, which I'll show you in a second, they're always synchronized and visible here in the BIMcollab cloud. So through BIMcollab cloud, which is your central data library, you're synchronizing all of your communication. And this is, where you can manage and see your issues. Now, let's say just for a quick demo, for example, we can go to BIMcollab Zoom. So we are at a part where our models have been modeled and the IFCs have been shared. And we now want to create a federated file in a tool like BIMcollab Zoom. So the first thing I want to do is I want to connect to our project. So when I open our project here and, have our models federated here. Oh, by the way, in Zoom, even in the free version, you can open an unlimited number of IFC files and easily create a federated model. So once when I have my model here, I have to do checkings. Maybe as a quick example, we can do a clash test. So you see here, I have a walls versus slab test, which I just ran here on the screen. I have my results highlighted in red. I also have my results, visible as clashes here. And this is what I was saying before in a kind of manual coordination workflow. This is where you're presented with a challenge, right? You have found your problems, but you don't have an efficient way to communicate them with the modelers. Here with Zoom and also again in Navisworks and Solibri through BCF managers, you have a really easy way. You can, for example, multi-select and actually batch import multiple clashes straight to issues. So name here. I can then assign it back to our modelers, right? I can give them a deadline that they have to resolve this issue by, and then I can set up all of the good issue properties that help me track these clashes and click generate. And you see here with just a few clicks after finding my results, my clashes are getting reported to issues. Okay, so we see here in a few clicks, our clashes have been reported to issues, right? So if I double click on my issues, they take me to the same viewpoints as the clashes. So what I have to, all I have to do now is click synchronize, and with just one simple click through BIMcollab, all of my issues are now shared across the team, including, like I said, to the modelers. So for example, here in Revit, as a modeler, what I can do is, again, connect to my project that we have created, and we see the issues that we have added imported right here. So if I double click on any of the issues, so you can see, that it opens to the same viewpoint, and I can quickly, if I have, I can quickly see through description and so on what needs to be done. I can quickly fix my model, update my issue, add a new viewpoint, communicate what has been resolved, even notify my managers, whoever I need to notify, change the status of an issue. And, this simply, again, to synchronize, I am communicating back and forth through the comments under each issue and go back to BIMcollab where I see my issues. Okay, so share with everybody on the team, and in each issue, of course, I have the whole issue history, everything that has been updated, everything is recorded there. So you have a full audit trail and everything, a nice history. So that was a quick demonstration of the BIMcollab issue management part. I did want to highlight some of the openBIM user cases from our clients that have been using BIMcollab and openBIM in an interesting way. So here I have, as a first example, is an engineering company example. It's Dr. Born and Dr. Ermel, and I've tried here to do a little, to make it interesting to go through different countries and different industries. industries. So as engineers here, they are an engineering company with 6 different locations in Germany and over 300 employees. And they're a great example of applying an openBIM workflow and also applying an entire BIMcollab ecosystem, and also with great enthusiasm. So they were kind enough to share their method with us. So you see the diagram here on the screen. And what I think is specifically interesting here is that what we see is that the BCF standard is used both for the model-based and for the non-model-based communication within the teams. So we see here on the left that, of course, they're starting site surveying, which is also BIMcollab integrates with many site surveying apps. Then they, of course, use it for 3D models, engineering, designing tools, and so on. So, of course, we integrate there with BCF managers. But then what we also see, in addition to these tools, is that they also recognize the advantage of BCF for the BCF meta database with the other teams, like, for example, the cost planning teams, the time management teams, and so on, and also including the authorities, clients, constructors, operators of technical facilities, and so on. So here, they have a way to improve their planning process, the cost management process, and so on, and they found a way to do all of this through BCF as well. So I thought that was something that's really interesting. And also good to mention that, they chose to go for our enterprise plan where they have 150 subscribers and 8 Zoom licenses. So they have access to issue management, but they also use our CD model integration so that all these different teams, wherever they are in the world, on site, wherever, they can view the models in the browser through the integration with CDEs. They through the enterprise plan, and they also, through sharing BIMcollab Zoom, even the free version, they share it with all of their members so that everybody can open the federated model. But they have ways to then share BIM requirements across the entire project. So that's also really great. Through our graphs, the statistics, and also Power BI, they have ways to project manage and track project on a high level, right? And analyze the data and so on. That was just, a quick highlight of their process. We also have another example, which is NCC. NCC is a leading construction company in the Nordics. So they have started a multi-contract year with BIMcollab, and they're moving forward with a company-wide rollout of BIMcollab for all of their projects. So what's really interesting here is that they are using not just BIMcollab issue management, which of course is great, but they are also applying BIMcollab Zoom as a model validation tool across their projects and their teams to ensure model quality at every step of development, engineering, construction, on all of their projects and their clients. With Zoom, they have access to smart views to check the data on their models, clash detection to, of course, check the geometry of the models, smart properties to customize the data on their projects, and, of course, lists to get quantities and data takeoffs from their project. So just wanted to highlight them, as a construction company who understands the value of the model quality across the company, across the phases, or across the departments, right? So that's something that's cool. And finally, I cannot not mention our architects. Here, for example, we have the Zaha Hadid architects that have used BIMcollab in their project for Nebu station. So Zaha Hadid's architects are working together with the Oslo-based A-Lab, I believe, for the design of the 2 new stations for this new metro line. And so what's interesting, they specifically have been using the manual coordination workflow before this project, and started with BIMcollab in early stages of the design, and really emphasized how without BIMcollab, they would just, in a traditional way, they literally would be swamped with issues, and they would have significantly more difficult and time-consuming process. So just highlighting them as somebody who, very early understood the value of adding BCF to their workflows. So yeah, just for the sake of time to keep that kind of briefly, just wanted to give examples of, different industries using BIMcollab in different ways. Also, just to summarize, just to kind of give a brief closing, if you, of course, are interested in trying BIMcollab and would like to learn more about general BCF coordination, you can always get in touch with us or schedule a one-on-one free demo meeting with one of our consultants. Just simply shoot us an email. And yeah, that was my demonstration. This is my talk.
Thank you very much. It's really cool to see this kind of workflow, of course, which personally I'm very familiar with, but it's very nice to be able to share this with other people. And I'm very, very eager for the ideas part, especially. So I'm really glad to see that BIMcollab is trying to implement as quick as possible. I guess you learned something from BCF and you just do the same thing with ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I think just like like you said, like ideas is starting and we have to educate teams and so on. It's just awareness, right? While BCF has of course been for much longer time on the market, there's so much more space in spreading it. So I think it's always an important topic. Yeah.
Definitely. Amazing, Bojana. And we stay in touch.
Yes, ideas is our next topic.
Yes, I can't wait for that actually. Yeah, let's do a new closer look at the IDS in the future after you launch this.
Absolutely. That would be great. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Petru. Keep in touch. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.